This week, I realized that there was one specific thing that was holding me back from receiving the manifestation that I'm in the process of bringing into my reality, which is a car. And that main thing is, and it's not something necessarily bad. In fact, it's something that's really good. I was still receiving manifestations that I had set in motion before I asked for a car. And if you go back to the 4 pillars of manifestation, it's the foundation. I truly believe this without a shadow of a doubt. You have your desire, you detach, you then use discernment on whether or not you are in the right trajectory for that manifestation for your highest good. And then the 4th one is trust. And I feel a lot of people have issues with discernment and detachment. You can have these desires, but what I'm finding is if you have so many of them and you keep switching from one to the next, one desire to another desire to another one to another one, it can be pretty difficult for the universe to get you all of those. Can they get to you? Yes. But we as people, I feel, do not have a good discipline around desire. The more I've really honed in on detachment, the more I've been able to really work with desire. I've been able to understand it. I've been able to embody it. But I also have started to realize that when you are manifesting, it does take a level of energy, concentration, and when these desires really come in, are you taking the necessary steps to let them happen? And there are a few different examples that came through for me this week. And instead of getting mad, I got really grateful. I took stock of what other things I might be manifesting. And to be honest, I'm in a place of observation because when I started this program, I really didn't have the knowledge, the skill set, or the training around how to properly call in a healthy desire, how to stabilize it, and how to allow it to propagate into more. So for me, myself, I feel that having discernment around which desires truly will serve you is important. But I also feel it's important to understand that desires without, and to me, desires can be more than just positive. You can have unhealthy desires that are based in fear. You can have unhealthy desires that can convolute an outcome. And an example of this is I'm in New York, and I really wanted to see Studio Ghibli. The conductor, Joe Hisaishi, and I'm probably botching his last name, I do apologize. I flew to New York to see this specific show, and I swore I picked the right one, but I ended up going to Carnegie Hall, watching his concert, and it was not Studio Ghibli. It was an amazing concert, and I believe I was meant to do that. But because I feel like I was trying to force something when I went to see this show. And it's not that it was a bad manifestation. I've had an amazing trip. I got to meet the right people. I believe it was good and healthy for me on so many levels. And it helped me to detach from an essence of lack. Because when I realized, I looked at the pamphlet of the show, I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not Studio Ghibli. This is something completely different. And I look at this girl sitting next to me who was just this, we ended up connecting. She was such a sweetheart. I look at her because we were both kind of like, oh, I think this is from this movie. This kind of sounds that way. And I look at her, I was like, girl, this is not Studio Ghibli. We came to the wrong concert. And she was like, oh, really? Oh, we were both bumming out so hard. And then I was like, okay, Anna, get centered, detach, and be present. Be present in the now. Take this as not a lesson, but just an experience, because I ended up having a beautiful trip. Everything was great. Carnegie Hall was magical. And I sat there and I realized, I'm like, you probably will never go to another Carnegie Hall concert just because my ADHD kind of struggles. But I'm grateful that I got to see this conductor because he is gentle, he is kind. You could see it in the orchestra. Just to be up, I was in the top row and I got to see everything. And it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm sharing all of this. It might seem a little left field for the moment, but in regards to desires, I desired it so intensely. It was unhealthy, to be honest. And that desire wasn't fully grounded in anything. It was grounded in lack, scarcity, and had I taken a beat, I probably could have gone to this show, booked it, and done it with my sister in a different area. So in some regards, this was lack-based, but because I've done so much work, I'm able to transmute it into a beautiful experience. And so this desire to see him so badly could also be blocking me to receive that car. And I got to see him. I got that wish. I got that desire. He was such an amazing man to watch in action. And actually, it was really inspiring because I feel like a lot of people pit him in, oh, you did the scores for this movie. That's all I know you by. But it was so beautiful just to watch him in action. And it was inspiring for me because no one puts baby in a corner. And I feel like for artists, it's important in entrepreneurship, whatever you are doing, whenever you're growing, to be put in a box and not allotted the space to grow or to be able to evolve and expand, I think it is a silent killer for artists. So I got to witness this man in an expanded state. So there's many layers to this. But I got a dream, a wish, and I feel so grateful. And this is something I wanted back in March before I wanted the car. I wanted this trip more than I wanted the car. That's how strong the desire is. So when you have these desires, it's important to pay attention to them, clock them, and detach from it, and then continue on about your day. And it's making me really question with the car. I'm like, okay, what kind of car did you want? Are you really tapping into the energy of the one that you desire? Is what I feel there's still blockages because I have such a beautiful comparison. This trip was such a beautiful desire, even though in the beginning it came from a place of lack. Oh, if I don't go see this man now, I'll never be able to see him in concert. He's getting older. There was just this fear. And so now that I get to clear that fear out of my energy field and trust that, if I'm going to see Studio Ghibli, I'm going to see it. It's going to be amazing. I don't need to force it because I was on my phone trying to book another ticket. I'm like, how can I figure this out? And I'm like, detach. You don't need to figure it out. And this example and this experience shows the fear mindset, how it can weave its way into your desires. And me taking a step back and trusting that it'll come through is what's really going to serve me. And when you have these desires that are based in trust, that also makes room for other manifestations to come in, because when you have a desire that's based in fear, you're going to subconsciously be monitoring things in the background, which takes energy, that takes time, and that takes a bit of your consciousness away from opening up more channels for greater manifestations to come in. Because I don't think you manifest one thing at a time. I believe it depends. I've heard different things. I've heard some people are like, you have one thing coming in at a time. I'm clearing that from my energy field. I don't believe that. I believe you can have many things in the works. I do think it takes a level of not ownership, but skill to be able to do that. I do a level of trust, a level of experience, a level of inner knowing, and that then allows for more channels. It's like training. Anytime you train, you get better, and then you can up the level of intensity in which you do this. Because I just started truly tapping into manifestation at the beginning of this Gregorian calendar year in January, it's only been 6 months. That's not that long. And I've actually had a lot of good experiences with manifestation. And you can go back to the beginning of my journey. You can watch everything. You can see my experience, because I've continued to evolve with this practice. And with that evolution comes the understanding that my manifestations are going to evolve. The foundation of them is going to continue to increase, because I understand desire, I understand trust. I also understand fear and lack more intimately, because I've been working with it. So I can spot it, transmute it, not run away from it, not say, oh, you're bad. It's like, I get curious. I'm like, why are you here? Come in, come sit with me. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. And then I move forward from there, because fear is always going to be a constant, but it's not something that needs to be ignored. It's something that I believe should be a part of the conversation, because fear is healthy. It helps with evolution. It helps to protect us. Fear, like any emotion, becomes toxic when you don't deal with it, when you project it onto someone else and not take ownership of it. To me, the biggest thing is taking ownership of these emotions, learning how to work with them, work through them, so that that energy gets transmuted, because energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed into a different energy. So being present, being conscious, and taking ownership is what's going to help you really work through that energy with greater ease, with greater speed. And that is when you can open up multiple channels, because you can hold space for all those emotions all at once. Because the reality is you're working through them one at a time, but because you're working through them so quickly, it feels like you're swimming through multiple emotions all at once, when in reality, not so much. I mean, it's a fine line. And yes, there are times where obviously multiple emotions will intertwine into once, or intertwine into one essence, into once. But really, I feel on a human level, we can truly only experience one emotion at a time. I believe when we do not deal with emotions, they then compound. And when you start doing your healing work and going back to the core root cause, you have to go through multiple layers. And that's where you experience multiple emotions, because they haven't been dealt with. And it's like opening up a can of worms. You're going to have multiple worms come out, and you're just trying to get to the bottom of the can. The can is the holder, and the original emotion is what's holding everything kind of inside. And when you start dealing with the first emotion, then everything else comes out. For example, anger, and then you have all these other emotions, and then you get to the baseline of anger again, which is a healthy indication of a boundary being crossed. That's another talk for another time. That's a little bit deeper, because I know anger is considered secondary, but anger is a auditory emotion that warns you, hey, my boundaries have been crossed. Fear is an auditory emotion that says, hey, something's off. I don't like this. And it's an invitation. But if you ignore the fear and the other emotions that may be coming up, and once you learn how to healthily deal with fear, you can start to see, oh, this is where it's coming from. This is the emotion. Okay, I've dealt with that. Are there any more? And then you deal, and this is where it becomes a singular emotion you're dealing with at a time. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the quicker you get to a resolve, and the less compounded interest of negative emotions you have heavy on your body. And you don't have to carry that around, which then allots you more time and space to do your manifestations, to call in new things. And I'm so excited, and I'm so happy I'm sharing this, because it's nice to witness yourself. It's also nice to see how far you've come. And I'm speaking personally here, but I know for everybody, when you have these aha moments, it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm really happy that I'm sharing it, because I believe that this work is very crucial. I believe mindset work is fantastic, and it's something that can really benefit one's life if done in a manner that really supports longevity. And understanding that when something isn't coming in automatically, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It might be an invitation to realize you have other manifestations that you started bringing in before you wanted this one thing. I feel like our society is so ADHD. I want this now, but they don't realize they have like 5 or 6 manifestations they already asked for that are coming in, and they forget about them. And then this might vary from person to person, but there might be a lack of honoring that manifestation. I know for myself, in sharing this story, I'm realizing that this was a manifestation. It's beautiful. I'm grateful I was present. I was able to be here in this, and I detached from thinking about a car. It's going to come in. And I feel like that's the dance, is detaching, letting the ones that are coming in to be fully experienced. So once they're experienced, it's like the cache has been cleared, and you now have more room to call in other manifestations as well. And because I want a few specific ones to come in, I'm going to be mindful of these desires moving forward and asking myself, do I really want to manifest this right now? Is this truly what I want? Or am I going to trust, put it on pause, and focus on some other things right now? I'm very mindful of my desires at this point in my life. And I will be even more so moving forward after having this realization that unprocessed desires can block your manifestation. Because I would love to manifest with greater ease, greater peace, and speed. I'll admit it, I like speed. I got a need for speed. But I also understand that certain things take a little more time to bring in. And I also am learning to trust that it's not always my way that is the best way, because that could be forcing something. And this trip is a beautiful reminder. I was forcing something, and I didn't get initially what I wanted, which was the Studio Ghibli, but I sure as hell had an amazing experience, and it's such a great time celebrating myself here in New York City. So I feel very grateful, and I feel very blessed. And I don't know, I'm just sitting with that feeling right now. And I think that's all you can do. And now when I go home, I just feel very content. So I'm excited when I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to continue calling in my other manifestations, continuing to do the work that I'm called to do, and just to continue to explore this practice of manifestation. It's been such a gift, and I'm grateful that I listened to the calling that my spirit guides and teams wanted for me, because understanding desire has been one of the biggest gifts for me, especially coming from the family that I grew up in, a Christian family, and desires can be viewed as demonic and bad, and I don't think that's the case. I think desires that are not grounded, and when they are done from a place of impatience, is where you get into the weeds, and that's where you have a little bit of issues. So doing it from a place of grounded, centered trust versus impatient fear, anxiety, very different energy. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you all have a blessed week, and we will see you in the next video.